Congratulations on your adoption. Now, it looks like you'll be taking care of the old man.
My ex-wife, Catherine, was supportive of my decision to adopt my father-in-law, Jack.
You're his son now, so it's your responsibility to take care of old fart.
After Catherine pushed the responsibility of taking care of my wheelchair-bound father-in-law onto me, she disappeared the next day with her affair partner, Mike Johnson. With Catherine gone, only Jack and I were left at home. I'm here for you. Let's get through this together. Jack smiled cunningly and said,
"All right. Let's start by selling this house."
I was stunned. What was he thinking? My name is Ryan Smith, a 35-year-old nurse working at a general hospital in a city like New York. Having lost my parents young, I chose nursing to be close to those in need. My life had been centered around my job, but I felt the urgency to seriously think about marriage. Although there are many female nurses at work, I couldn't find the right match. Since I was looking to marry a woman with a different career, I secretly registered with a marriage agency. However, even after being introduced to several women, I couldn't find someone who really clicked. Even when I liked someone, I was turned down. Maybe it was because I didn't show enough interest initially. One time, I was dumped immediately after going Dutch on a first date. The marriage agency advisor advised me, saying,
"Mr. Smith, women who match with you usually expect the man to pay for the first date. Many are looking to become stay-at-home wives after marriage."
I realized that getting married was tough. For me, who always thought it was normal for women to work after marriage, this was quite a culture shock. A stay-at-home wife, should I respect that wish? I'm worried that I can't afford a lavish lifestyle with my income.
Men who accept the idea of a stay-at-home wife are popular, planning a life where she relaxes at home for a few years after marriage, then starts working part-time for her own spending money, is a good idea.
The advisor suggested. Taking their advice, I agreed to the condition that my next match could be a stay-at-home wife for a while. That's when I matched with Catherine Johnson, 35 years old.
She's the same age as you, and a lively, recommended match. I think you should decide on this one.
The advisor suggested, warning that I might not have many chances left. When I met Catherine, she was a very beautiful woman who had been a campus queen during her college years. After graduating, she hadn't worked, instead helping her father at home. While her lack of work experience was a concern, I didn't dwell on it too much. I paid for not only the first date, but also the next ones. Catherine strongly desired to be a stay-at-home wife, and I was okay with that. During our dates, I was attracted to her easygoing and fearless personality. Catherine also took a liking to my serious nature. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and I got to meet Catherine's father, Jack, a farmer with a large property similar to one in Nebraska. Jack wasn't doing much farming anymore, instead earning a passive income by converting some of his land into parking spaces. Jack and I hit it off right away. He had been living with Catherine since his wife passed away 5 years ago.
"I couldn't be happier if you joined our family. I think Catherine might be a bit unrestrained, but she's always helped with housework and will make a good wife."
being able to smile every day with such a beautiful person like Catherine would definitely make me more dedicated to my work. The biggest deciding factor, though, was getting along so well with my father-in-law, Jack. When I proposed, Catherine happily accepted, saying, "I'm looking forward to it." And so, our married life began, living together with Jack. For a while after getting married, Catherine became a stay-at-home wife, taking care of both me and Jack. Then, a shopping mall opened nearby, with many trendy stores looking for part-time workers and temps. Catherine was immediately interested.
There's a jewelry store in the mall hiring part-timers. I'd love to work in such a fabulous place.
It was surprising since she wanted to be a stay-at-home wife, but I had no reason to object. If you like it, then it sounds good to me. We agreed that the money Catherine earned wouldn't go towards our living expenses, but she could use it for herself. In hindsight, this was perhaps too lenient. Once Catherine got the part-time job, she started going to work with glamorous makeup. My irregular work schedule meant we spent less time together, but Jack took the lead in doing the housework. When I returned home from night shifts, Jack would welcome me with a warm cup of tea. It's almost like I married Jack. I would joke. Jack, always cheerful, would laugh and say,
Catherine isn't home much anymore. She's always loved flashy things. There might be some dissatisfaction, but I'll take care of things. Ryan, please bear with it.
Not at all. I don't feel like I'm enduring anything. Catherine is a wife I'm proud of. But above all, I'm most proud to have an amazing father-in-law like you, Jack. Getting along with Jack was the biggest blessing. I didn't tell Jack, but I was beginning to feel a growing emotional distance with Catherine. Yet, I figured this was just how marriage was. More than anything, Jack was a person of great character whom I deeply respected. That alone made me grateful for this relationship. Then one day, when Jack was working in the garden, he suddenly collapsed and was rushed to the hospital where I work. I heard the news from the head nurse and hurried to the chief internist's office. The chief internist looked serious and told me,
Ryan, it seems Jack has been hiding his poor health. His body can't withstand surgery anymore.
It was essentially a declaration that there wasn't much time left. Doctor, how long does my father-in-law have left to live?
Even with a nurse like you, improving his quality of life, he might not last a year.
Unsure of what to do, I knocked on the door of Jack's hospital room. Jack seemed to understand his fate well.
Ryan, how long do I have? Don't hide it from me. I want to make the most of my short time left.
You might not have even a year to do the things you enjoy, but of course, I'll be by your side, supporting you to stay as healthy as possible for as long as we can. Then Jack said something unexpected.
Ryan, please keep the truth about my remaining time from Catherine. If she knows I'm sick, she'll surely leave.
That can't be. She's your only daughter.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but she's not a daughter I can trust. If she knows I only have a year left, she might take all my property and send me to a remote hospital.
I somewhat understood Jack's perspective. Living together, I gradually saw Catherine's true nature. She was a woman who delighted in having more money. being a nurse isn't exactly a high-paying job. It seemed like Catherine regretted marrying a nurse like me. I won't let her send you to a remote hospital. I'll take care of you until the end. Don't worry. As Jack suggested, I didn't tell Catherine about his one-year prognosis. That night, when Catherine returned from her part-time job, I only mentioned that Jack would need to live in a wheelchair. As Jack predicted, I didn't hear any sympathetic words from Catherine.
A wheelchair for life? I'm not up for taking care of that.
I'll quit my job and take care of him. Let's support him together.
You must be joking. If you quit, where will our money come from? I'm not working part-time to support the family.
Catherine stormed out after saying this and didn't come back that night. The next day, while I was wiping Jack's back in his hospital room, Catherine suddenly appeared. Out of the blue, she said she wanted a divorce. I couldn't understand what she meant. Why would she make such a choice when her father was seriously ill?
Ryan, if you stay married to me, you'll have to take care of my father. I want to free you from that burden.
I never thought of caring for Jack as a burden. It's no problem for me to work for him. Don't worry about it like that. Once Catherine realized I was determined, she shockingly said,
I hate this goody two-shoes act. I regret marrying you. If I had waited a little longer, started working at the mall, I would have had the perfect encounter.
The perfect encounter? What do you mean?
I've found true love. I shouldn't have settled for a marriage with you. He's totally different from you. A director at a famous company.
Upon asking for more details, this is what I learned. She went on to explain that a man named Mike Johnson visited her jewelry shop as a customer, and they fell in love immediately. Mike owned property in the city center and was quite wealthy. Marrying him meant she could live leisurely as a stay-at-home wife without needing to earn her own spending money. The problem was that they were both married, but as for Mike, there was no longer any love in his marriage. He wanted to divorce his wife and marry Catherine.
That's why I need to be single too. Ryan, please divorce me.
I had already realized that Catherine married me as a compromise. But this betrayal was something else. What will you do about your dad if you marry Mike? Will you take care of him properly?
Of course not. I don't want to ruin my newlywed life, taking care of Dad. I'll have him stay at some hospital outside the county.
You intend to abandon your dad? At that moment, Jack spoke up.
Enough, Ryan. Divorce Catherine. I'm ashamed to call her my daughter.
But you will be sent to a distant hospital if we do that.
I won't let that happen. I plan to adopt you as my son once you and Catherine divorce.
That's when I vaguely understood Jack's intentions.
Well, that's not a bad idea. Then Ryan can take care of Dad, and I'll be free to marry Mike.
I was completely astounded by her selfishness.
Ryan, you have no parents. I want you to be my son-in-law and stay by my side forever.
Catherine smirked.
If that happens, I can still get half of Dad's property. Even if you make a will to exclude me, I'll claim my legal share.
Catherine, always after money, was keen on such matters. But she didn't know about Jack's one-year prognosis. She probably thought the inheritance issue was far off in the future.
Mike has a mansion in the city center. I'll get part of that property, so I'll give you a little.
A few days later, Mike appeared in the hospital room. Initially, I was angry to see him, but I kept calm, considering we were in a hospital. Mike looked remorseful when he saw me.
Ryan, thank you for everything you've done for Catherine. From now on, I will make her happy. I apologize for the reversed order, Dad.
I don't want to be called Dad by someone like you. Get out.
I had to calm down an agitated Jack. Mike just stood there, enduring. He had come, knowing this might happen. He didn't seem entirely villainous. Seeing this, I even started to think that perhaps Mike was also being deceived by Catherine.
See, he's sincere, right? I love Mike very much. So, Ryan, please divorce me.
Regardless of Mike's feelings, there was no point in clinging to Catherine anymore. I was thoroughly disgusted with her and agreed to the divorce. All right, I will divorce. Do as you please from here. Then everything happened quickly. Maybe Jack wanted to act while he still could, as he seemed unusually active. I divorced Catherine and officially became Jack's adopted son. I had been Ryan Smith while married to Catherine, but now I would live as Ryan Johnson. Catherine clapped her hands gleefully.
Congratulations on the adoption. So, I guess you're in charge of taking care of the old fart now.
I couldn't help but raise my voice. To call your own father old fart, you're the worst daughter. But my words meant nothing to Catherine.
You're his son now, so you've got the responsibility of taking care of him. I guess it's good that I met a nurse, even if it comes with a divorce.
After pushing the responsibility of caring for wheelchair-bound Jack onto me, Catherine disappeared the next day with Mike. For Mike and Catherine to marry, Mike first needed to finalize his own divorce. Moreover, even after a woman is divorced, she cannot immediately remarry. But none of that mattered to me anymore. I was determined to do my best to make the rest of Jack's life as wonderful as possible. So, I wheeled Jack back to our home. It had been a while since we returned to our house, and Jack seemed to be relaxing. I tried to cheer him up a bit. Dad, I'm here with you. Let's get through this. Then Jack gave a sly smile.
All right, how about we start by selling this house?
I was taken aback. What was he thinking? Jack began to liquidate his assets. He put up for sale the land he had been renting out as monthly parking and the unused farmland, letting them go. A significant amount of money started accumulating in his bank account.
I better use the money myself before Catherine takes it. Ryan, can you indulge the whims of an old man?
As Jack's son-in-law, I had no desire for his inheritance. Jack's assets were his, and it was fine by me if he used them all.
I don't intend to leave any inheritance behind. Ryan, I'm going to enjoy life to the fullest now.
That's exactly what I wanted for him. Sounds great. Let's spend it all.
Thank you, Ryan. I'll take you up on that.
Dad, what do you want to do now? Just tell me anything, and I'll make it happen. Jack squinted as if reminiscing.
Well, I've always been a country boy and never really traveled. I'd like to go on a trip, maybe even abroad.
I thought it was a great idea. Leave it to me. How about we go on a world tour?
That would be amazing. But I'm getting weaker. I'm not sure if I can endure a flight.
Don't worry, there's a way to travel around the world even without much strength. I got Jack's consent and headed to a travel agency. Is there a luxury cruise ship coming to US soon for a world tour? The travel agent nodded emphatically and patted her chest.
Leave it to me. I'll arrange the best cruise journey for your father-in-law.
The travel agency and the cruise ship crew promised to work together to make Jack's remaining days wonderful. A week later, I, with a backpack on, wheeled Jack to a luxurious cruise ship that had arrived at New York port. The cruise ship was like a giant moving hotel. Traveling by ship was entirely different from flying. There was no need to head to airports or book hotels at each destination. We could relax in our cabin on the ship and disembark for sightseeing when docked. We could buy clothes at stores at our stops, so there was no need for a large suitcase. The ease of getting on and off the ship with a wheelchair was the main reason I recommended the cruise. We could either leisurely sightsee or stay on the ship if we felt like it. I booked a suite on the luxury cruise ship where Jack and I stayed together. Every morning began with checking his temperature and blood pressure to monitor his condition. We mostly used room service for breakfast to reduce Jack's burden. On days we moved from port to port, we'd sit on the balcony and watch the sea. For lunch and dinner, we'd choose from the many restaurants on board and enjoy luxurious meals. In the evenings, there were movies, stage shows, and magic shows, making us feel like we were visiting Broadway and Las Vegas every day. On sunny days, we'd go swimming in the pool. Jack didn't swim, but enjoyed sunbathing poolside, applying suntan oil in hopes of looking healthier. If Jack felt unwell, we'd simply relax in our cabin. As a nurse, that's when my skills came into play. The cruise manager was already aware of Jack's illness, and they assured us that a doctor was available 24/7. Jack was able to enjoy his overseas trip without any strain. For a while after we started the trip, Jack was surprisingly lively. When he felt good, he'd leave his wheelchair and go outside with a cane. After leaving New York port and passing Havana port, we went from Georgetown to Panama. Eating at the same restaurant every day, we became familiar with other tourists. Jack quickly made many friends with his cheerful smile.
I'm traveling with my son. It's the first time I've left the US in my life.
Such a dutiful son. I'm envious. My own kids seem to have forgotten about us since they got married. That's why my husband and I decided to live for ourselves.
That's all right. Leaving an inheritance only leads to disputes anyway.
Not only elderly couples, but also young wealthy power couples and solo female travelers were among the passengers. One of them was a lady in her 60s named Sandra with elegantly dyed light purple hair. She and Jack got along particularly well. She had been living lonely days since her husband passed away 10 years ago.
I was told by my daughter and son-in-law to go on a leisurely trip instead of moping around. Looking at the sea, I realize how much I've been caught up in trivial matters throughout my life.
Jack, having lost his wife to illness just like Sandra, felt a deep connection with her. As they journeyed together, their emotional bond grew stronger. The tranquil days unique to a cruise journey passed by. It was a trip completely free from the rush of catching flights. From the balcony, gazing at the blue ocean, Jack murmured,
"When I turn to ashes, scatter me into the sea. Then I can travel the world forever."
I nodded silently in agreement. A week later, we passed through the Suez Canal and moved on to Egypt, then Greece. Enjoying the beautiful contrast of white walls and sky in the Greek towns, Jack and Sandra walked together. I stepped back, careful not to intrude on their moment. The orange sunset sank into the blue horizon, a view Jack and Sandra savored side by side. When Jack felt well, I'd asked Sandra to accompany him, allowing me to take a separate route. Eventually, Jack started to show signs of fatigue, and I became more cautious in our activities. Some nights were tense, but often he'd feel better by morning. On Christmas night, Jack had a slight fever. However, he insisted on going to the dance hall to keep a promise with Sandra. I consulted with a doctor and got a prescription for a stronger fever reducer. To make Jack look a bit more energetic, I borrowed some cosmetics from the ship's staff and used foundation to improve his complexion. Dressed in a suit tailored in Italy, he looked every bit the charming gentleman with distinguished gray hair. During the day, Jack had learned some basic waltz steps from a woman who performed in the ship's musicals. He practiced the steps, leaning on a table.
"I'm nervous about messing up. I hope Sandra won't be disappointed."
Don't worry, it's not about the steps. It's the effort that counts. We used the wheelchair to the elevator, but walked slowly into the dance hall. There, elegantly dressed Sandra was waiting for Jack. I gently nudged his back, and Jack approached Sandra.
Merry Christmas, Jack.
"Merry Christmas, Sandra."
With live music playing, many couples danced gracefully around the hall. Jack extended his hand and led Sandra to the center of the dance floor. His steps were unsteady, but Sandra skillfully covered for him. This became their first and last dance together. On New Year's Eve, amidst a grand countdown party, I walked briskly through the ship's corridor, filled with tension. The ship had a reliable internet connection, always keeping us connected to US. Since I hadn't brought a computer to my room, I used the captain's quarters. That day, the call came from Catherine. Facing Catherine on a video chat after a long time, her heavy makeup seemed a bit off, making her look older.
I've been looking everywhere for you. When did you and that old man go abroad? I'm having a hard time here. Hurry back.
I think it'll be a while before we return. Is there an emergency?
I've had enough of this life. Mike divorced his wife, all right. But he gave most of his fortune to his ex-wife. Even the mansion in the city center.
Ah, he was more honorable than I thought. If he decided to divorce his wife on his own accord, it's only fair, isn't it?
Don't joke with me. We're living in a tiny 1 LDK rental now. I thought he at least had some stocks or something, but nothing?
Irritated, I hurried Catherine along. If it's not urgent, can it wait? Right now, I want to spend every second I can with my dad.
What? Something happened to the old man. Bring him here. I have things to say to him too.
At that moment, there was a knock, and the captain entered.
Ryan, your father.
I understood everything and closed my eyes.
What's going on? Say something?
I silently ended the video chat. Could you please leave it disconnected for a while? The captain quietly responded, understood. When I returned to the room, Sandra was holding Jack's hand as he peacefully closed his eyes. Following his wishes, I scattered Jack's ashes into the sea. After everything ended, I said goodbye to the other passengers and flew back to US alone. At the airport, I reunited with an angry Catherine. I had heard along the journey that Catherine had broken things off with Mike. So, you ended up not marrying and split. Tough break. But I knew Catherine wasn't expecting such words.
How could you cash everything and splurge abroad? That's the worst revenge against me.
The inheritance Catherine expected to receive was entirely used up by Jack.
Is there at least a little left?
Well, there might be some unused farmland left.
Just that land. It's practically worthless.
Still better than nothing. I'll renounce my inheritance rights, so do as you please. Catherine trembled with frustration. The thought that this was the woman I was once married to felt strange. As I started to leave, Catherine shouted at my back.
Wait, what are you planning to do now?
Just going back to my usual life. Thanks to Jack, I had the opportunity to travel around the world. I'm grateful to Jack for sharing such dream-like days with me. As for what happened to Catherine afterward, she sold the small piece of land she was left with, but it didn't amount to much. She was criticized at the jewelry shop where she used to work for fraternizing with clients and couldn't find re-employment. Known in the neighborhood for her reckless behavior, she was even turned down for a part-time job at a supermarket. Now, she lives in an old apartment away from her hometown, working in building maintenance. The days I spent with Jack greatly changed the course of my life. I started working as a nurse on a luxury cruise ship of the same company as the one we traveled on. It's a ship frequented by many American passengers. Someone who is familiar with American culture is a reassuring presence. I feel in sync with my British nurse colleague. Working while traveling the world is fantastic. Jack gave me a wonderful experience, far more valuable than any inheritance. Inspired by how Jack lived his life to the fullest until the end, I want to lead a life that I can look back on and feel proud of.